Hi there. My name's Matthew Saunders, and I'm doing a short series of videos and social media posts about neurodivergence called My Neurodivergent Brain. This is the second in that series, and I'm going to drop one of these probably once a week or so. I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can see the QR code below, and follow me on Twitter, and I hope my insights are interesting to you. The first episode was an introduction, talked about my childhood and how I came to do things like these casts and talk at conferences and so forth. If you didn't see that, again, you can use the QR code below to catch up on any casts that you've missed. As a child, I was diagnosed with a reversal problem, with an extremely short attention span, anger issues, and inflexibility. I was labeled as being oppositional. Abrupt, sudden noises were and are still painful to me. I experience sensory overload very easily, and it was observed that my motor-visual integration was poor. And in the 1970s, there wasn't the vocabulary, the sophistication, or the understanding to really define my challenges. In today's terms, I would have been diagnosed differently. Dyslexia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and autism spectrum disorder. The spectrum which now includes what was called Asperger's. So I grew up in Canada, and autism wasn't diagnosed there until 1980. And even so, I wouldn't have fit into that diagnosis, for at that time period, it was used to describe significant deficits. Asperger's wasn't recognized in Canada, where I grew up, until the 1990s. And I would add, when you have multiple disorders, comorbidity can make it very difficult to identify what causes what. Now, one of the mental health professionals that's worked with me shared, often it doesn't really matter what the diagnoses are. It's more important to treat the recognizable symptoms. Now, as a complete side note, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM, no longer recognizes the label Asperger's. In 2013, it was removed and folded into autism spectrum disorder. And I think this was partially because it was discovered that Dr. Asperger played a critical role in identifying children with disabilities during the racial hygiene measures of the Third Reich. Many children were sent to Spiegelgrund in Vienna, where they were sometimes euthanized or used as subjects of experiments. And that association has been pretty upsetting to some members of this community. That said, many folks in this community were also highly suspicious of the diagnosis being rolled into the autism spectrum disorder. So this brings me to my first small insight for you. If someone shares with you that they're neurodivergent and describes it as Asperger's, be sensitive to refer to it in that way with that person, because that's how they identify. Likewise, if they share with you that they're on the spectrum, there's a good chance that they don't identify with the label Asperger's, so be sensitive to that. My next episode is entitled Anger, and we'll talk a little bit about when I was 3 and how I expressed anger and how anger has been expressed through my life, and ways that I've found that I'm able to change the dynamic around how anger has influenced the way I work with people and how people perceive me. I hope that you watch the next episode.